tell no one, or at least we think we do, when we hear the word nerd, some of us visualize a socially awkward, middle-aged white male.
Women. Can't live with them? They will not go out with me.
While some of us visualize an unemployed, overweight guy who spends all his time on the internet. One thing is for sure though, there's a very defined stereotype for nerds. But how did this stereotype come to be? In order to understand this, we have to take a look back at the past century of human history. In the years following the First World War, America exploded. But not literally, of course. An economic boom surged across the country, and Americans had more money to spend on leisurely activities, such as listening to the radio. As radio became increasingly popular in America, amateur radio enthusiasts rose up in its wake. These enthusiasts learned how to both operate and assemble radios, as well as other pieces of emerging technology. And the nerd was born.
So what nerd means, for me anyway, is you have these interests, and they're not just interests, they are things you're willing to put time into, you put money into. Maybe you make costumes and dress up, maybe you just go around quoting things incessantly. That
memorize every single Magic card ever.
Maybe you do that, maybe you memorize different things, lists of books, lists of episode titles for certain series that may be very long and have lots of episode titles. Complete chemical makeup of the average adult human body. Just, you put your mind into it. You put your money and your time and your talents. It's a shared reference set with people. It's knowing that you can make jokes, and people who are also nerds will get those jokes. It's a specific, maybe a culture in and of itself, almost definitely a culture in and of itself, but it's being part of that thing where all the jokes are shared, all of the references are shared, and you can say, I just spent X amount of money dressing up as a character from a random Japanese cartoon that aired 20 years ago, and everybody goes, yeah, that's cool.
Also, you know, something that's not mentioned very much is that there's actually a lot of female nerds. You know, they don't get as much credit as they should in media and stuff because, you know, like you go to Dragon Con and half the people you see are like young 20-age females that are like fairly attractive in really skimpy outfits. I mean,
you hear that, nerd guys? They're there.
Yeah, they exist.
No, they're not. This is a lie. It is a lie. But the stereotype for nerd exists because it's kind of usually right.
Sometimes.
There's you know, there's a standard really skinny white male who's kind of awkward. Pan over to the three of us. And do this.
Yeah.
The computer science students.
There's the computer science students. Literally all three of us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be your people who aren't quite the stereotype. You know, you have different races and ethnicities representative, just like anything, just like any normal hobby.
Goodness.
Yeah, nerds come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but the stereotype exists because it's pretty
There's a
accurate.
lot of different stereotypes though, you know, because there's the like dweeby glasses and like acne covered, like, you know, can't do anything guys. And then there's the really intelligent ones that can actually do shit.
So your question that you asked me before about what makes being a nerd different from like being a jock or being interested in other things, and that's really, there's not much of anything
like
that's different.
Well, it's usually out of the social norm.
Football games are the conventions
They
for
are
sports
straight
fans.
up nerd conventions. A lot of people get together, a lot of them are painted up or dressed funny, they are being loud, they are spending money, they are together to support something that they are all huge fans of. The only difference is that football fans get a convention once a week.
And they think they're better than us.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
And they get different media attention.
There's this thing called intelligence that many of them are lacking.
There's this whole superiority in your own, like pride in your own subculture. Also, the loud, drunk football fan whose face is half painted is another, you know, kind of unflattering predominant stereotype. The only difference is in the media that's glorified. Like you want to be the loud, drunk, face painted football fan.
So, would you consider yourself a nerd?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Let's talk about online games, because I know that you play your fair share, pretty extensively. You play online games.
Okay.
Like, do you primarily play like shooters, or
are you involved with a different kind of online game?
I am terrible at shooters to start with. I play a lot of what's called MMORPGs, which is a lot of letters. MMORPG stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Games. And what that basically is you have a role-playing game, which is a pretty common genre, but it's set in this online world where you're interacting with all gamers from all over the world, sometimes hundreds or thousands at a time. So right now I'm playing World of Warcraft. It's the sort of the poster child for MMORPGs. It's a role-playing game set in this enormous fantasy world where I'm playing with a lot of other players. You can't see them right now because I'm just leaving an urban area. Yeah, I'm playing my dwarf hunter. His name is Tulip. This is Tulip. He's gorgeous.
Oh wow, he's a pretty little man.
He's like a model. I think they're a really good way to hang out with people online. I think that's probably the biggest thing about MMORPGs to me. You're not really hanging out in the same way that you could in real life. So in that way, I don't think saying I've postponed real life interactions is inaccurate. I have planned around online events in the past. I don't see that as having hurt my real life interaction at all.
Would you say it's pretty comparable to somebody that, say, plays a club sport or joins a bowling league or something along those lines?
I think, yeah, it is very similar. I mean, there are people that I talk to a lot that I've met in online games. And there are people that that I know in real life, in physical, that I talk to in person, that I've made connections with over online games. I don't know. I think it's a great hobby to have.
While stereotypes are commonly construed as negative, this is not always the case. Stereotypes allow us to simplify and understand the most complicated creatures in existence, ourselves. The nerd stereotype is as well defined as the stereotypes of the jock or the partier. But it differs from the jock and the partier in that, while those largely stay the same, the nerd is ever evolving, ever changing. And one thing is for sure, nerd culture is here to stay.